Hey yo my fellow Rumble Maniacs, it's Mr. Rumble Roses here. Today I wanted to talk about a couple of things on my mind. From Duke Nukem 3D World Tour, to Five Nights at Freddy's sister location. Before I get started though, I just want to point out that this isn't my real voice. I'm using one of those text-to-speech sites, so I don't have to make a video where it's just nothing but text. I wanted to at least have a vlog type of video with a voice somehow. Anyway, now that I got that out of the way, let's get started, shall we? First thing I want to talk about is Five Nights at Freddy's sister location. And I want to talk about this first, because it's actually coming out soon. Like on Friday, unless it might be delayed by the developer. So, sister location is the next installment of the Five Nights at Freddy's series, and there's been a lot of talk about it. Not to mention quite a bit of teasers have been posted by the developer Scott Cawthon. We've seen things like the animatronics, the map of the place this is gonna be at, to even some of the rooms that we'll be seeing within the game. Also, from what I can understand, this is also gonna be quite a story-driven game. Probably more so than the previous FNAF games. There's even gonna be quite a lot of voice acting to it seems, which is something that was kind of rarely done in the previous games except for the phone guys. For example, we'll actually be hearing from the animatronics themselves as they speak to us. As a fellow FNAF player who has all of the games, and even played them all, I'm looking forward to seeing what this game is gonna be like, especially in terms of gameplay. In FNAF 1 through 3, we've been known to sit in an office, while we had to make sure the animatronics that roamed around didn't get us and try to stuff us into a suit and basically kill us. In those 3 games, we had different tactics to use for the animatronics in order to survive. From closing doors, to using a Freddy mask, to even using sounds to lure them into another room away from us. Then in Five Nights at Freddy's 4, we had a bit of partial free roam, where we could go to the doors of the bedroom we were in, to checking the closet, and even looking on our bed to make sure they didn't get to us from behind. So the question of the day with sister location would have to be, how will the game mechanics work? Personally, I think that this is gonna be free roaming of some kind. I see one of 2 ways it could happen. One idea could be full-on free roaming, like the FNAF fan game The Joy of Creation Reborn. The idea could be that we have the freedom to move around the place, and we have to go into certain rooms to do different things while making sure that we survive against the animatronics. And with each night, we might have to deal with certain animatronics as well. And each of them might have some different mechanic to them, like for example, Ballora could be one animatronic that hunts by sound since she has her eyes closed the whole time. Now the other idea could be, still with free roaming, is that we might be able to move around the place, but we have to bring up the map and click on the spot that we want to go to, like how Five Nights at Wario's Origins is. That's another FNAF fan game, by the way. And I'm really interested to see, and I'm sure a lot of other people are wanting to see this too. But I'm curious to see the lore and backstory this game will bring. One thing besides the horror elements to the FNAF series, is the lore of it as well. People always theorizing the history of the whole series. Either way, I'm looking forward to seeing what Scott Cawthon has up his sleeve. Hopefully I can find a way to get my hands on it, and play it here on my channel someday. Anyway, that's all I got to say really about FNAF sister location. So let's move on to Duke Nukem 3D World Tour. So I'm sure a lot of people know, but Duke Nukem 3D is making another little comeback with the upcoming release of World Tour as part of its 20th anniversary thing. Gearbox Software now owns full rights to Duke Nukem's IP, and the whole court issue stuff with them versus 3D Realms is finished from what I have heard. Now yes, this could be considered another re-release of Duke 3D, but now they've added in a new 5th episode to the game, as well as updated graphics to even new and remastered Duke voiceover work from John St. John himself. I have my little pre-ordered copy of it, and I'm curious to see how well this thing will look and play. Not to mention trying out the new 5th episode, which by the way was made by the original map designers that made all the maps in Duke 3D. I will be doing a let's play of that game when it drops. From what I've read about the new 5th episode, it seems the maps are gonna be quite big to say the least. Probably about the same size more or less as what Duke It Out and DC maps were. Hopefully the episode has cooperative support, as well as Duke Match mode as well. Hopefully multiplayer is really well polished up and works nicely. Not to mention the Steam Workshop as well, so people can play user maps, and hopefully getting those maps will be good to download easily and as well to play, and so on. Some of the things I'm hoping to see in World Tour is mod support so I can play some mods like I have done with Duke 3D Megaton Edition. I'd like to see Team Duke match mode added, which is something we've not really seen anywhere else other than with eDuke 32. Hopefully it gets added in. And the one thing I wish they did add, which I know now that they didn't, was the expansions. In Duke 3D Megaton, the expansions were fixed up to where it had no bugs, and was multiplayer friendly for both co-op and Duke match modes. And since Gearbox pulled Megaton off the shelves like on Steam and the PlayStation Store, they could have added the expansions onto World Tour. But from what Randy Pitchford said to me on Twitter, they plan to make a definitive edition down the road with them and who knows what else. Best guess is that they're gonna make a version of World Tour where they had that game, plus the expansions as well. In other words, basically another re-release of World Tour, but with the expansions added as well. In my eyes, they're nothing but greedy sons of bitches. Anyway, that's about all I got to say for the time being, so, as always, thanks for watching.